question for you guys. Where you guys live, do people tend to stare in public? Like, is it a no-no to make eye contact with strangers out in public?
It's painful like him, a pretty open person, but in the cities you just have to ignore homeless and weird people. As soon as you open your mouth or look at them, you're gonna get followed.
I say this because I went on a hike yesterday and it was kind of a disaster, but it was because I went with my family. Of course, going with my family, you know what tends to happen, right? I got dressed in like a light pair of joggers and a long windbreaker. I walk out into the garage and my mom is like getting her shoes on, so she's bent over. She looks up at my legs and then up at me, and she's like, "Why are your legs so short?" And I was like, "Mom, what?" And she was like, "I couldn't even tell who you were." I was like, "Mom, you have 2 children. Did you forget who I was?" And she stared at me and laughed. And then my dad came up and I was like, "Dad, Mom literally forgot who I was." And he was like, "It's because you never come out of that room." He continued, "Can you blame her?" And then he laughed and walked away too.
Yo, this is needed for your character arc.
No, it's not. It gets worse because we were climbing up a hill and this hill was very steep. It went on for like multiple zigzags back and forth. And you know, it was Canada Day long weekend too, obviously, right? So there were a lot of people there. It was crazy to me being on a trail like that crowded. People look at you like crazy. I went into the public women's bathroom and in these stalls, for some reason, I don't know why door designers do this. In these stalls, in the slits between the wall and the door, the gap was huge. It was like literally an inch wide. This lady was talking on her phone in the stall next to mine. She flushes, gets out, seems to be waiting for someone who's in the stall on the opposite side of me. And for some reason, she has the gall to continue talking on her phone while not looking at the other side, which is like into the mirror and the sinks, right? She stays with her eyes peeled at the stall doors, and she is right in front of my stall, and worse, right in front of the gap between my door and the wall. I can see her whole body as I'm sitting on the toilet, and then the absolute worst thing imaginable happens. She looks at me, and in pure horror, I look at her, and she doesn't break eye contact. She is looking at me inside the stall. I'm making it known to her non-verbally through eye contact that I can see that she's looking at me, and she continues to look at me. Like, typically in a situation like that, I am pretty confrontational, but I was stun-locked. If you don't care that someone knows that you're staring at them from inside of a toilet stall, you are a psychopath. And you should not be trifled with, and I will not trifle with you.
This is one of the worst things I've ever heard.
Right? Literally caught with my pants down. I walked out and I was so shocked. I didn't even tell my parents about it. I didn't tell anyone about it until now. I had another staring issue with someone who was like on the trail. I was like slowly trudging up the trail behind my mom, right? And this like tall kid, he comes out of nowhere and skips past, like literally leaps, soars chased us up the hill to the top. And I'm like, why you gotta... why do you have to flex on me like that? I reached the top where my dad and my sibling are waiting. And I'm like hand on the pole, back bent over, kind of heaving and laughing at myself, calling myself pathetic. And then they come over. I'm joking. I partake in a little bit of self-deprecating humor. I'm like, guys, I feel so old. And my sister, without a hint of hesitation, you are old. And I'm like, what? No, I'm not old. And my dad follows up, you're young? And I'm like, yes, father. I am less than half of your age, father. Of course I'm young. He says, couldn't tell. I had the whole interaction with my dad and my sister, and then I was laughing with them and also laughing at myself. And then I look up, and there he is, just staring at me, just looking. And then it was at that moment I realized he was the same person who had passed me and looked back at me for some reason earlier in the trail. It's part of the reason I brought up this whole like staring topic. I realized it was him, and there he was at the top of the hill. I got irrationally scared for a moment, actually. I was like, holy shit. I have just been laughing a lot. Is there some chance that he recognized me? And I was like, no, that's not sensical. I'm not a big streamer. I'm not like to that extent. But like, if I describe the way that he was dressed to you guys, he definitely didn't come off like a normal hiker. How do I describe this? He was dressed like he definitely had a Discord account. But I will absolutely say, if there is actually some chance that he recognized me, I need to inform him that his cargo pants like fall past the level of his boxers when he's walking, and I need him to get a belt, because when he skipped past me up the trail, I could see his boxers in broad daylight. Why are you describing them? Because I need to share my trauma with somebody else. Were you impressed? No. Like, it's crazy the types of people that are out there.